Hello everyone. This is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're looking at the Spellbinders June 2024 Club Kits. These are once again amazing. I have a few favorites already, and I wanted to film this video and talk about the kits in detail. So as always, I will share some cards that I have already made for the Spellbinders YouTube channel. You can go to the Spellbinders YouTube channel, and I have a link to that channel below where you can watch a tutorial, a simple tutorial for every club kit, just to see what the club kit is, what you can do with it, what are all the parts and pieces. But in this video, I will also look at everything in detail. I have some cards to share, some ideas to share where I combine multiple kits because Spellbinders kits are always fantastic to combine. They usually have a theme to them, and things go well, really well. I'm not using the right words. Anyhow, they combine really well, and it's always not nice to create with a collection of products where things coordinate. So what I'm trying to say is that Spellbinders club kits, club products usually coordinate, and they're fun. They're fun to pull, like one product to make a background, and another product to make a focal point, and a third product to make a sentiment. All the good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I will tell you right away that I have two favorites this month, and one of the favorites is rather unexpected because usually I'm not a fan of that type of product. Maybe not a fan as much, but this time, this month, this product has really caught my eye. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at the small die of the month. This is, I'm kind of looking at the clubs in order as they appeared. The very first club kit the Spellbinders had was the card kit, and that is now discontinued, so that is no longer. But then the next club kit the Spellbinders released was the small die, and then there was the large die after that. So whenever I look at the club kit products each month, I start with the small die because I feel like that's the oldest club out there. So the small die of the month is kind of fun and quirky this month. Let me grab my card to show you. So here is the card that I made, and it's a dancing element with a floaty that you can use in the pool. So we have the hippo, and there's also the ice cream. I'll show you that in just a minute. And both of these elements are dancing. So the hippo, the legs can dance. This one doesn't dance too well because I messed it up a little bit and I added too much foam adhesive, but it can dance, or it can not dance if you don't want it to dance. It can be stationary. It doesn't have to move. And then we have the ice cream. Let me grab my little baggie of die cuts and show you the other pieces. Okay. So let's assume this is a good example. So that's our ice cream. And then we have the ice cream body. So here you would put a foam adhesive circle, or a square, or a little foam adhesive dot, whatever you have, and then stick the ice cream top part on top, and then this will dance and move if you wanted to. Of course, you don't have to. It doesn't have to move if you don't want it. And then there are little floaties that you can add onto your character. So there's this duck floaty. Here it is here, and there is also a turtle floaty. I didn't use the correct colors for these because I wanted to make them fun and colorful and playful, and I wanted them to make them the colors of floaties that you would actually see in a pool. So my duck is teal and my purple is pink, just because that's the way I like them. You don't have to add, like the turtle head and the legs and whatnot onto the floaty. It can be just the floaty by itself here. So if you just die cut this die, it can be just a floaty. It doesn't have to have all the, animal decorations. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So if you want just a floaty, you can have just a floaty. Or if you want to go quirky, if you want to have something really out of the box and creative, you can add the little bits and have yourself these fun little floaties. There are also sentiment dies included in this kit, and we have happy, chill, And there's also Happy Day. By the way, this is another card that I made. So here I have my little hippo in his floaty. I don't have his legs just because I want it to look like as he is actually floating in the water. The water here, by the way, this was created using the 2D embossing folder for this month. So for June 2024. And here's a look at this folder. It is beautiful. You know, it's so beautiful. You have waves, or it doesn't have to be waves. You can rotate it. You can turn it sideways. Kind of starts to look like curtains or just like some fun pattern. It's a beautiful folder. I feel like this is going to be used a lot in my craft room. Next, we have the large die of the month, and this one is a winner in my book. It is one of my favorites this month. It is a fantastic design, one that I'm sure I'll be using all throughout summer just because it's such a fun summery theme. So what we have here, we have quite a few dies. It's this section of dies. So we have 2 beach chairs that we can cut from different colors of cardstock because these come in multiple pieces. So we have the chair base. Here I think I've already assembled that one here. So here's the chair base cut from white cardstock. Then we have the chair fabric for both chairs. And I cut this one from green. And then we have the chair stripe that you can cut from a contrasting color of cardstock, and I cut this one from the darker green. So you can create all sorts of colorful summer beach chairs, lots and lots of color options to try, lots of fun things to do. So love that. In addition to the chair, we have a beach umbrella. And again, the beach umbrella, there are several pieces. So there's this piece and also these 2 pieces plus the stick. And when you cut it and assemble, this is the way it looks. And again, you can use multiple colors. You can use different colors. I used a darker red for the background. So this main piece was die cut from darker red. Then the little pieces, the decorative pieces, were die cut from white and the lighter red. So this is how I created this umbrella, and then the stick was cut from white. And this is basically the same umbrella as here, just on this one, instead of using darker red for the background, I added ink blending to darken that fabric in the background. So that's the umbrella. Then we have dies to create the scene. First, we have the sun. It's this little yellow piece in the background. We also have the ground. We also have this piece that sort of creates foam in the water. And actually, these 2 pieces, they go together because you can see the foam sort of overlaps the ground or the island. So, and you can see that here as well. They overlap. And then there's one more piece. It's this one. And this will just help you create the horizon line or the shoreline or whatever, line you want on your card. So this is the large die. Like I said, my favorite is just a brilliant, brilliant die set, and I love it. I love dies like this for summer cards and summer crafting. I think I have more card ideas with these products, and I'm just working on some backgrounds, and I will show you that toward the end of this video. Next, we have the clear stamp and die of the month, and the clear stamp is a keychain. It's a fun keychain with the different designs that you can add onto it. So you have the blank keychain and then 3 different motifs that you can add inside. There are dies if you do get the stamp and the die club, because you can, if you want, get just the stamp club, but if you want, you can combine and have the stamp and the die. So if you do get the stamp and the die, you're able to cut these out. You're able to use the coordinating dies to cut these out. And these will just nest inside the keychain, and that just looks really, really fun. So we have quite a few sentiments in the stamp set this month. So we have Hello from Paradise, and it's the same one. I was gonna say it's the same one that I used on my large die card, but it is not. So I actually have not yet used the Hello from Paradise. We have Happy Retirement, Miss You, Let's Be Adventurous, and Sending Sunshine Kisses and Birthday Wishes. So that's the one that I used on the large die card. The coordinating dies cut all of these sentiments out, which is always nice and neat. Okay, moving on. Next, we have, ta-da! Next, we have the stitching die of the month. Love it this month. It's so beautiful. It's so unique. And the stitching die gives us a beautiful oversized ice cream. Trying to find my card to show you. Here it is. So here we have multiple pieces to die cut an ice cream image. And of course, we can stitch it using all sorts of different colors of thread that we have in our stash. So all of these dies, I'm just trying to separate it for you so you guys can get a better idea of the stitching die. So all of these make the stitching die of the month club for June 2024. In the background, I have a beautiful background embossed using the 3D embossing folder of the month. I love those slices. It can be, an orange slice, a lemon slice, a grapefruit slice, whatever you want. In it doesn't have to be green. I first made a green background. I didn't quite like it. So I then redid this in pink, and I added watermark ink over it to help highlight that design. So here's a look at the folder. As always, it is a large folder. So this is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. It is twice the size of an A2 card. So if you wanted to, you could even emboss a full background, score it down the middle, fold it, and have an embossing on the front and on the back. And I have done that in the past with some 3D embossing folder designs from Spellbinders. Looks absolutely beautiful, makes your card very unique because you have that embossing in both front and back. So that's the stitching die and the 3D embossing folder. Next, we have another fun product, simple but fun. So let me move these little pieces aside. So don't look at this because that's a bonus item this month, and I will talk about it, but just in a little bit. So here we have the Glimmer of the month. We have a Glimmer plate sentiment, a sentiment plate, and then a plate with coordinating dies. I have foiled the sentiments in gold foil on white cardstock. I did not cut them out intentionally, just to show you what it looks like once it is foiled. Then you have the die. You just lay it over, align it, use your best ever craft tape, tape it, and cut it out. And once you do, you have these fun little sentiments that you can use on your card. I like that this gives me a bunch of sentiments at once, so I don't have to foil each sentiment separately. Of course, when you have a plate like this, you are somewhat limited because you cannot foil directly on your background. You cannot foil directly on your project. For example, I wouldn't be able to foil directly here like I did with the stamping. I would just need to foil, cut it out, and then pop it over, maybe using adhesive. Maybe if I foiled on the same color of cardstock, it would not be as noticeable, but that's the only downside of using a plate like this, where all the sentiments, all the images are connected, is that you cannot use it directly on the background. So that's just something to remember, but still a fabulous sentiment set. And we have sentiments here that say, hello, friend. There's nothing better than ice cream and you. Hope things are sunnier soon. May you enjoy your retirement to the fullest. Hope your day is as relaxing as a walk on the beach. Time for another adventure. It's time to make summer memories. Love it. So this is the Glimmer of the month. Next, we have this lovely giant BetterPress plate, and this, well, you guessed it right, this is the BetterPress of the month. And then we have two sentiments plate here as well, and the sentiments read, wishing you a relaxing birthday and sending a sunny hello. So let me quickly show you what this BetterPress plate does. I would say this is like my probably third favorite this month. I'm still to show you my second favorite, and we're getting there. So this is the look at the BetterPress plate and my cards that I created using the BetterPress plate. So what I did here is I, like this entire background, both of these backgrounds, they were created in an identical way. But what I did is I pressed the leaves twice using BetterPress ink, and then I foiled the leaves twice using gold foil. And I just rotated my panel every time I did the impression. And it's very easy to do, very fun. You get different backgrounds. Watch the tutorial on the Spellbinders YouTube channel. Now, here is another background that I attempted to do. I was not very successful here because my foiling isn't perfect, but I actually attempt to fix this, and I will show you this on camera. I'll show you how you can do this because this is just such a cool background. It's such a cool idea. I actually want to redo this and make sure that I do this correctly. The reason that this did not work the first time is I used wrong paper. Well, not wrong paper. I mean, when I first did this background, I only planned to do ink blending, and I did do ink blending. And for that, I used my Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. But then I decided I was going to do foiling, and foiling isn't always perfect on this type of paper. I find I get much better results on Simon Says Stamp 130-pound cardstock. So what I plan to redo, or what I plan to do to redo this background, is I will ink blend the background on the Simon Says Stamp 130-pound cardstock, and then I will just foil the same leaves on that cardstock to have this, tropical vibe, vacation vibe background. So this is a BetterPress of the month. So keep watching to watch the process for this. Then this brings us to, I'm trying to think. Okay, so this brings us to my top favorite product for this month, which is the stencil. I'm not usually a stencil person, but this month the stencil is just absolutely fantastic. You get several designs. So design number one is beach balls. I was chatting with my friend Mindy yesterday as I was ink blending some of the beach ball backgrounds, and I kept calling them balloons. And she's like, no, beach balls. And I was just so, I don't know, I was just so in the zone. I'm like, what balls? They're balloons. Anyhow, beach balls. So I have made two backgrounds. Here you can see them. So I have a pink and yellow ball, beach ball with some texture paste for the last layer. I hope you can see this. That added a little bit of dimension. And also I embossed with a stencil. As I flip this to the back, you can kind of see that. So there is embossing, there is texture. You can't really see that texture here, but when you run your fingers over the background, you can feel it. There's that tactile experience. So that was done by embossing one of the stencil layers in my platinum machine. Love this, although this is not my usual color combination. This is not what I usually go for. So for my second background, I went with totally different colors. And in fact, the colors that I used are these. So I used Dew by Simon Says Stamp and Raindrop. And then the yellow color was ink blended using Zest. So this is more me. This is more of my color combination. And I look forward to turning this into a background. So this is one of the stencil designs, so the beach balls. Next, we have this stencil, and what we have here, so this looks kind of funky, but what you have here is you have the sun, and then you have basically a stripe to ink blend the sea. Here, I ink blended this using non-traditional colors, so I went with pinks, and for this, I have rose, peony, and carnation from Simon Says Stamp. And I did not align the stripes precisely. I kind of overlapped them a little bit to make it look like these were sort of waves in the sea, but then my sea is pink. Again, I was just being creative and I wanted to do, something unexpected. I haven't finished this, but this is like my initial plan for this card. So that's background number 2. And then background number 3, we have yet another sun. I think it's this way, although you can use it both ways. So we have the sun, and then we have the fluffy clouds. And that's the background that I did here, where I've added the foiling on top. And then also, here's one more, where I just ink blended the clouds. I kind of forgot to add the sun, so there's no sun here. And I messed up the bottom here with some blue ink, but I will fix that. So that's another idea for this. There is also a wax seal club this month. I am not sure where my wax seal is. I'll have to go look and dig through my craft room. But again, my craft room is still not yet 100% functional. So it's kind of hard and tricky to find it, but I will be sure to insert an image here for you guys so you can see what the wax seal looks like. And it's actually a very cool one, again, with this whole summer tropical vacation vibe. Okay, and you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Yana, you forgot to talk about this little piece here. And I did not forget. I was saving it for last. So this is, and here I cut it out. Check it out. Look, see how adorable it is? Let me just grab a piece of paper so you can see this a little bit better. Again, this is a dancing watermelon. The legs can move from left to right. So this is a free bonus item for those who get the value package. So with the Spellbinders Club kits, you can get the different clubs individually. You can get one club, whichever club, or several clubs, but you just add them to cart separately. If you like all of the clubs, or maybe you like most of them and you want to save, you can get the deluxe caboodle value package. That one makes the most sense in terms of value. You get the biggest savings when you get the deluxe caboodle. So that gives you all 10 club kits, plus it gives you a free bonus item. It's a different item each month. Last month, there were actually 2 bonus items, which was really cool. This month, it's this adorable little watermelon. So I love the watermelon. So the only way for you to get the watermelon die is if you are a member of the Deluxe Caboodle Value Club. With the Spellbinders, it's very easy to join and cancel. There is no minimum commitment. You can join anytime. You can also cancel anytime. It's not like you have to be a member of the club for, like 3 or 6 months or a year. No, you can join and cancel anytime you want. They have made it very easy for people to enjoy the products. So that's the overview of the clubs. I'm going to pause for a second, regroup, and come back with some ideas. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to recreate this background, and I'll show you step by step how this is done. So first of all, I have a sheet of Simon Says stamp, 130-pound cardstock. I rave about this paper all the time. I really love this paper. It's very smooth and it works great for a lot of different things. I particularly like it for foiling. It also works great for ink blending, for stamping, for Copic coloring. I have found it works well for BetterPress as well. It's not going to give you that deep impression, the one that you would get with BetterPress paper, but it works and I like it. It's like my go-to paper. It is expensive. It's not cheap paper. It's rather expensive, but I like all the things that I can do with this paper, so I use it a lot. And whenever I reach for this paper, I know I will get fantastic results. I know I won't have any problems when I am using this paper for my project. So let's go ahead and start by ink blending the sun. For the sun, I'm just going to use 2 shades of yellow, a lighter yellow, and I'm just going to ink blend this. I'm using the new fluffy brushes from Spellbinders. These are super large. But I also like the fact that they pick up and transfer a bunch of ink at once, so I don't have to work on a project for too long or on my ink blending. And next I'm using citrine and a smaller brush. This is the Simon Says Stamp blending brush. And I'm just going to come in here from the bottom of the sun and add a little bit of this darker yellow so that I have a little bit of color variation on my project. Okay, this looks good. Let's remove the stencil. I usually ink blend on my waffle flower grip mat, but I'm not quite sure where it is. And I don't want to go look for it. I just want to do some ink blending, so that's why I'm ink blending on my mat today, and I do not bother with the waffle flower grip mat. Although the grip mat is fantastic. I just don't remember where I put it, and I am in no mood to go look for it. So next we're going to ink blend 3 rows of clouds, and the sun actually nestles wonderfully in between the clouds. So I just need to position my stencil like so. Use tape to tape it in place. I need to add another piece of tape here to protect the sun, and we're ready to do ink blending. So for this, like I said before, I'm using 3 shades of pink, starting with Carnation. And I'm not going to do a solid layer of color, just going to do a light layer of color, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm starting, I'm ink blending from the bottom, and I'm fading the color into the top. So just like this. Super simple, super quick ink blending. Nothing too fancy. Ooh, love the way this looks. So then you just reposition your stencil. The top part works as a mask, and it masks the bottom portion of the top cloud. And now we can ink blend the second row of clouds using the medium pink ink. Love it. It doesn't have to be pink. You can go with a traditional blue, you know, or purple, or whatever colors you want to use. Okay, and next we just reposition the stencil one final time. Again, make sure we cover that top cloud, and go ahead and ink blend this using our darkest pink ink. And this is going to complete our background. I do set it aside for a little bit to let the ink dry before I do my foiling. I find that this way my foiling works a lot better. So here's our background. Set it aside and we'll come back to it in a little bit. So now that the panel had a little bit of time to dry, I'm going to go ahead and BetterPress it with foil. Well, I'm going to foil it, not BetterPress it. So this is the BetterPress plate for June 2024. And I'm just going to use my hinge method. Add a bit of tape at the top here to attach it onto my paper. Flip it away. Now I need to cut a piece of foil to size. This is matte gold foil from Spellbinders. I already have my Glimmer hot foil machine hot and ready. So just going to cut this. I have misplaced my Pro shears from Spellbinders, so I'm using the detail shears. I swear, guys, I seem to misplace either one or the other pair of scissors all the time. All the time. I don't know what happens. I don't know why, but it just happens. Okay, so I have my piece of foil. I've placed it onto the paper, and I'm just going to flip the plate back onto the paper. Play a little bit with the placement to make sure that it is positioned exactly how I want it. Maybe add another piece of tape here. Maybe add another piece of tape here. Okay, so this way it is all nice and secured. I'm going to bring my Glimmer and foil this BetterPress plate. To foil the BetterPress plate, if you've never done this before, you just follow the same steps as you would to foil a Glimmer plate. If you have never done foiling altogether, hot foiling that is, you need a Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system. This is what it is. This system is electric, so you plug it in. This provides heat, so there's actually heat here, and it is heating up my plate. And this takes about a minute to get my plate good and hot. And once this is done, I'm going to take this out of Glimmer, of the docking station of my Glimmer, and I'm going to take it to my die cutting machine to apply pressure. So this is a two-step process. We're using the heat from the Glimmer hot foil system, and then we're applying the pressure from using a manual die cutting machine. And it can be any die cutting machine out there. It doesn't have to be a platinum. The Glimmer is compatible with many machines. So now that our timer light has stopped flashing, it means we're now ready. I'm going to take the platform out of my docking station and send it through my Glimmer. I'm going slowly, so I'm not rushing. So just going to send it forward and back. Remember, we are pressing or foiling a rather large plate. So we might need to do this twice, we'll see. But because I use that Simon Says stamp paper, the 130-pound cardstock, my favorite paper for any technique, it should work well. So just being careful here because this is hot and I don't want to burn my fingers. Let me move the Glimmer out of the way and let's take a look. Oh yes, I think this worked just beautifully. Yes, look at that. Wow. I'm trying not to rip anything. But of course, I am ripping something. I can hear that I'm ripping. Maybe I just cut this instead of trying to remove it. Okay. Look at that gorgeous background. Wow. We have the ink blending, we have the sun, we have the clouds, then we have the tropical leaves. So beautiful. This is another one that I did where my foiling did not work and my ink blending was a little bit more harsh here. Plus I added some yellow to the pink so it looks kind of orangey red. So you can see the different colors here. Okay, I love this background and I just need a minute to decide how I'm going to finish this card, what other things I want to add to embellish this. Maybe I just add a sentiment. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I have pre-planned several cards and I want to put them together on camera and show you all the details. So with this background, this is one of those ink blended backgrounds. I foiled the BetterPress leaves, and again, I had imperfections, but I really like this background and I just did not want to throw it away. So I decided I am going to make it work. So I pre-planned this card design in such a way so that I'm using additional layers, additional die cuts, sort of to cover those imperfections up. They don't cover them up completely. Of course, if you look closely, you'll be able to see there's like a little boo-boo, but I don't care. I really like this background. I feel like that ink blending and those foiled leaves, they just look amazing when layered together. So I am going to use this background. This was ink blended and foiled on Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. So not my go-to paper, not my Simon Says stamp 130-pound cardstock. That reminds me, I need to order some more of that paper because I'm kind of running low. By the way, they also have 120-pound. It is just as good, just a little bit thinner, but it still works just as well for this. So my idea is to use this big sentiment. This is the largest sentiment in these clubs. So I am going to go ahead and just first put the sentiment here so that I can cover up most of that imperfect foiling. I don't usually make my cards like this. I don't usually start with a sentiment, although it is always nice to pre-plan the sentiment placement, plan where your sentiment is going to go so that you make sure that you have room for that sentiment once you finish that card. It's not the case in this card here. I'm just using that sentiment to cover up a boo-boo, but it's all going to work fine in the end. So next I am placing my large umbrella. And again, this is covering up a lot of that imperfect foiling. And I also have 2 beach chairs And the beach chairs are just going to be placed here at the bottom. I have a green chair and a red chair. I first wanted to use two chairs in the same color scheme, but they then decided that using two different color chairs would be a better, just a better, it would look just better on this card. So this is what I'm doing. Just trying to make sure that I have them placed correctly. I'm not quite sure. I'm not happy how the sentiment overlaps the umbrella. So I might need to reposition it. I don't know. We'll see. So I might need to play with this just a little bit until I'm happy with everything. But this is the basic plan for this card. Okay, so card number 1 is kind of fixed and finished. I redid the sentiment. I foiled it in matte gold foil, the same foil as I used for the leaves, so the text sort of matches. The black sentiment just looked odd here because there's no black on this card, so it didn't really make sense. And then I used a C1 Copic marker. I added some shadow here. I might use a different marker, like maybe a W1, to change the tone of that shadow. It's looking a little bit too cold here. I'm not sure how well you can see that on camera, but I don't quite like it, so I might go back to it. And then I added the aura sequence from Spellbinders. I scattered some going diagonally here. They somewhat covered up those foiling imperfections, not perfectly, but just a little bit. So we have that going on. I also want to come in with a white Jelly Roll pen and add some white dots. I'm almost thinking I might add some white splatter, but I don't know. White splatter is, you have very little control with splatter, and that is what sort of freaks me out, me not having control, but maybe I just need to, dive in and give it a try. I did make one card recently where I didn't like the amount of splatter, so that's why I'm hesitant, but I have the splatter. I might as well use it. I just need to find a good paintbrush. So let me go do that. Okay, here I have a paintbrush from my stash. This is Silver Black Velvet number 8 round brush. I use it for watercolor. This is also one of the largest brushes that I have. I have been watching Suzanne Hugh, and I noticed how she said that when you use a larger brush, you're still getting pretty decent size splatter. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I try doing splatter on something else first, like on a different panel. Let's grab a panel of yellow cardstock to just like test this. So that is, I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, well, I'm just going to give it a go. Why not? And the splatter should also help cover up a lot of the imperfections. Actually, I remembered a trick, and it's a very helpful trick where you use a clear block and you just go like this. And add splatter like this. I'm not sure if it's adding a lot. A little bit. Okay, I can see a little bit of splatter. I'm not liking this directional splatter too much. I don't know, somehow the Yasutomo splatter was easier to add. I don't know. I've lost my splatter touch. So this next card is going to be very simple. I'm just going to add my background onto a card base. See, I ripped the paper here a little bit, so I'm going to try and use glue to fix that. And this is the background that was done on the Simon Says stamp 130-pound cardstock. So it's that nice thick paper that I really like. So just going to stick that onto the background. I need to trim a little bit here at the bottom. There is a new paper trimmer coming from Spellbinders, by the way, a guillotine trimmer, so a trimmer like this. I think it might be incoming soon right now, so you should be able to see it and order it in a few days. My trimmer is on the way, so I've not yet used it, but I am always a fan of guillotine trimmers because the blade lasts a very long time and it just makes that beautiful, perfect cut. I never have problems with guillotine trimmers. Okay, so for this card, I'm just going to add a sentiment. It's just going to say friend. I love that friend foiled die cut. And then at the bottom, I'm adding a sub-sentiment that reads, hope things are sunnier soon. And I feel like I do need to use my T-square ruler to make sure that this is adhered straight. Okay, and we should probably add a few more of those sequins. I really like those aura sequins from Spellbinders just because they go well with pretty much anything. They look white in the package. Let me find the package for you so I can show you here. So in the packaging, they look white, but they sort of pick up whatever color is underneath and, you know, they change. They're like chameleon sequins in a way. Not too much, but a little bit. And I really like that about these sequins. Okay, so using my crystal katana, the pickup tool, and the Barely Art glue to adhere these in place. And by the way, I'm sure you've noticed, I am using the new heart-shaped little jars. Well, not jars, little dishes. These are fantastic. I received a package with them. There's 6 in the package. Let me show you the rest. So I showed you another type of these bowl sets from this same brand, Danica, in one of my previous videos. And I mentioned that there's also a set of heart bowls. So this is the set with the heart bowls. And you can see there are different colors. I kind of liked black one the most for my mat just because it's not too distracting, but you can see all the different colors and they're so beautiful. Gold one's actually really, really pretty as well. So these are available in the Spellbinders store if you're looking to get some cute little bowls for your desk, for the sequins, you know, for other little tidbits that you might have. Okay, so this is card number 2. Very simple, very beautiful, love it. Okay, and here we have card number 3. So for this card, I actually have a ton of different die cuts. I'm incorporating pieces from different clubs. So first of all, I stenciled the background using the Stencil of the Month club. Next, I'm adding a piece of a die cut that signifies sand. And this was created using the, let me think, the large die of the month. The die cut, the sand die cut is a little bit too small, so I need to trim my background to make sure it all matches. Okay, next I have this piece, and this will look like sea foam. So I cut this from white cardstock, and I'm just going to tuck this under my sand. This is going to add interest. Or actually, I don't even need to tuck it under. I can kind of add it over too. Can go like this. Okay. Very nice. Found my shears. They were on a pile on the other side of my desk, covered by die cuts and products. Okay, so this looks great. Next, I'm going to add my umbrella at an angle like this, like so, because I wanted to overlap that sun, to overlap where the sun meets the sea. And my sea is a very different color. I wanted to, I wanted something different, so I made a pink sea. Because why not? You'll notice that I'm using a lot of different shades of pink for these cards. I was just in that pink mood. Okay, so I have the beach chair. This is also from Large Die. And I kind of wanted to bring something else to tie in with the sun. So I used the floaty die from the small die of the month. And I'm just going to add that somewhere here to, to just balance things out. I wanted to add something else, like an additional element onto my card, and I wasn't sure what I could add. So the floaty seemed like the perfect, a perfect little die cut. I tucked it under the chair, but I also want to use thin foam adhesive squares so that it is popped up on my card just slightly. Okay, so we have that. I think I am going to keep this part of the umbrella here. I don't want to trim it. I want to keep it like that. And then I'm going to add the hello, it's time to make summer memories sentiment. Again, this is going to overlap my sun. A lot of overlapping is happening on this card. This, when you overlap elements, I feel like this helps to tie them all together and bring them all together. By the way, in addition to foam adhesive squares, I'm using foam strips. Spellbinders now has foam strips available in their store. So they're actually really great for adding these skinny strip sentiments to your cards. I need to clean that sentiment strip a little bit. Okay, and I have 2 cloud dies. I figured that I wanted to add some clouds onto my card. I do have a white background, so technically this is going to be white on white, but it doesn't matter. I still want to add that white on white just because it adds texture. It adds texture, it adds interest, and it just makes the background look a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to tuck this cloud here and trim that, and tuck this smaller cloud from the other side. Now I'm looking at my card and I don't like how the chair is placed. I feel like I need to reposition it, so I will do this next after I add that cloud. Okay. Good. So let's reposition that chair. I feel like it's just a little bit too down on my card. It needs to be moved up. And I'll get the floaty repositioned as well. That's the beauty of using foam adhesive squares. If you haven't pressed down too hard, you still have time to move them and reposition them on your card. Okay, so this is what my card looks like. Well, actually, no, I still need to add it onto a card base. I forgot about that. So I have a white card base, and I'm just going to add it. I do feel like I need to add some ink blending, maybe just a little bit of blue ink blending over here, because this side of the card looks just a little bit too plain, I guess, just too blank. So here I have a small blending brush from Simon Says Stamp. The reason I'm using a small blending brush is I don't want to add ink onto the sentiment or onto the clouds. I want to make sure that I'm not adding too much ink and that I'm not overlapping the elements too much. Okay, that looks so much better. Yes, a little bit of ink blending goes a long way. I'm just going to add a little bit on the other side as well. Maybe a little bit over here too. I should have done this before I added the clouds, but I didn't think I needed to. Okay. Yeah, this looks a little bit better now. Okay, cool. Maybe I do cut this umbrella. Okay, this looks better. And I feel like I need to add something else here. Maybe I add another chair if I have one. Let me pause the video and think about it. I added the green chair. I moved the red chair up a little bit and I added the sequins, and that sort of fixed this card. Looks a little bit better. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I want to add some texture in the sand. So I'm using an E31 Copic marker to add shadow and some texture where the objects are touching the sand. So the floaty is touching the sand and it's making an impression. The beach umbrella is touching the sand. The chair's touching the sand. And I'm also going to use a white pen. This is Sakura Jelly Roll 0.5. You can also use 0.8 or size 10, doesn't matter. Just like a small Jelly Roll pen. And I'm just going to add some dots here and there, and that sort of helps mimic the look of sand. I really like to do this. I also will add similar type dots where the sea foam is, like right here on the ink blending, because that helps to, I don't know, it just makes it look better, I think. And I like to do this. You can also kind of do this with a white splatter, but when you have a pen, a white pen, this is a lot more controllable. You have so much more control with a pen versus splatter. Besides, I just want to add the dots at the bottom section of my card. I don't want to add any dots or any splatter over the chairs. So using a pen in this particular case is a little bit easier for me. Okay, love it. Now I totally love this card. It looks so cool. And now onto the card with a bonus item, the dancing melon. This one's going to be super simple. I'm just going to add the die cut in the center. I have a foam square here. Using a foam dot is better, but I don't have any, so I'm using a foam square. So I've added a foam square inside the legs die cut, inside the die cut that is supposed to move. Next, I'm going to add my main die cut on top. Ta-da! And that ensures that the bottom part of this die cut moves. So the legs move freely and they sort of dance. So we have our little dancing melon. And I'm just adding a sentiment at the bottom, sending a sunny hello. And that is it. This card is like super simple. I wasn't planning on making this card, but I already had the background, I already had the die cuts, and I figured, you know what? Might as well put it together. So here's a look at the cards I have for you, created with the Spellbinders June 2024 Club Kit. I have featured almost every product except for the stamp of the month. I only have one sentiment featured here at the bottom, and I also did not feature the wax seal. Everything else is featured on these cards, including the bonus item, which is this darling dancing melon. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this was a lot. I was inspired, and whenever I feel inspired, I just want to share my projects, share my excitement, share the inspiration with you, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for joining me, for spending your time with me. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.